same thing with San Diego Crew Classic. When I was rowing in it, and they're just right up there. They're able to make the camera feel like you're actually in the race. Like, you want to generate that momentum, that feeling. Like, I mean, there's nothing like it when you're at the start and you get a start and you're just like, oh, yes. But making sure that the camera work, the production work is flowing, and not just being lazy as putting a drone up, because then you don't really get to be in the mix. You have drones, they're beautiful shots, but you really need to keep doing the zooms in, showing the pain, showing the dedication, showing the grit, because that's what rowing's all about.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Last Stroke Counts. Today's guest is the founder of We Row Like This, Alexandra Hambro Tapley. Please welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I think we've been talking about, we say this a lot, but I think we really have been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been in the US. It hasn't really been possible, but we kind of had an eye on when you came over, kind of wanted to speak to you about what you've been doing, which is cool to finally be here.
I think we booked this in March, like a good few months ago. Definitely one of my...
Yeah. You're no rower. That's organisation skills far beyond that of any rowers.
Surprising though, I don't have a coxswain.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we forget how to do everything else, because you've just got someone else to do it for you.
Yeah, that's it. No, but yeah, it's been really exciting because obviously we spoke a little bit about your brand over on Instagram and in some other places, but it's really cool to see what you're doing, the coverage that you bring in to the sport, particularly the women's side in America, and it's almost like a replay channel. I like to see from all the racing and highlights from all the crews. It's when I don't know if you ever attend the Eurosport or something like this, and they give you the best bits of the day. That's what I feel like when I'm going through your stories. So I guess it will be really interesting to also get into the background of how you started there, what it is that inspired you to sort of push this brand on. But first,
how did you get into rowing? How did you find yourself in this beautiful place?
Oh, I feel like everyone's heard this story. So, I'm from London. I'm neurodivergent, and my mom brought me to Boston for a special school, and then I had been a horse rider, sort of eventer, as a kid, and then she took me to the Heather Charles. And we stood at Elliott Bridge, which is the last bridge of the race. And this is a 6K. And I was just gobsmacked about what was happening. And I pointed to that. I'm like, I want to do that. And these people are dying.
Yeah.
And she went, okay. That's cool.
It's quite often, so we ask a lot of guests, 3 top places that they've rowed at, and the Head of the Charles pops up.
That was my first race.
Really?
It's trial by fire, to be honest. But yeah, it was really cool. And I loved how my mom was just okay, that's what you want to do. So we found a community program. I was at a state school at the time. No funding. We rowed in a boat that was from the 70s. We needed 10 people to carry it. We got spoon oars. I mean, it was I think they took them off of Leandra's historical wall. Yeah. And we didn't have unis. I mean, it was very basic.
Yeah.
And I don't think I didn't row in a race until the Heather Charles, and we never had anyone in the boat we didn't have a full 8 until the Heather Charles. And
that's never fun.
And it was okay, well, business as usual. And I remember us going, I think singles passed us at that point, but we were can we go again?
Still never did anyway.
We finished and we're spin it. And I think it's such a unique place to learn how to row on the Charles. I didn't know American history, anything to do with America. And I started rowing at CRI. And then rowing for me was a struggle because I never was at a school that had rowing. I had to keep hopping around. I asked my parents for an erg for Christmas. Which no one does. Yeah. I played every sport under the sun.
I was going to say, you'll be surprised because we sell eggs and the amount that we do at Christmas. And I always think, who's asking for an ergo for Christmas?
Exactly.
But it does happen.
Yeah, no, it does. And I went to boarding school and, everyone could hear like the sound going. They're like, oh, she's at it again. I rode for a master's program, at 16 or something, just to get recruited.
Yeah.
And I would row in this really competitive team, CRI, in the summers, and it was playing catch up. So everyone had been rowing during the year. I get to the second boat, start the third, second, and then, you just keep working away up. And then I ended up doing a PG year at Kent School. Made first varsity, but if you love it, you love it. And I think my parents were like, oh, this is like for life, huh?
What was it for you that you think was the draw?
You just sit in a boat and the way it moves and just being out in nature, it's like, what did I like getting on a horse and jumping over a hedge? I mean, no one likes to. It's like, it's very hard. It's like, what do you like about pain? I think is the question.
Yeah.
Because if you've done 1-2K and you're still in it, it's like,
yeah.
Hey, so
you're weird like me.
Yeah,
Let's be weird together.
It's kind of like that. You're like, I guess I like this.
I remember
feeling this.
Yeah, and people asking me, being like, "Oh, what bit about rowing do you love the most?" It's like, well, I don't love early mornings. I don't love the rain. I don't love being exhausted. I don't really love racing. I don't like race day nerves. Okay, what's left? Like, well, I guess I like winning. And I think for me it was like the camaraderie, the team.
Yeah.
The team.
You love what you
part
love.
of that team. Yeah, you can't really choose it, can you?
It's literally, it's like, meeting, your partner or something. It's like, you gravitate to it. I mean, I always wanted to play ice hockey, but I got to America. I was like, I'm going to play ice hockey. And then I was like, I can't stop. I can't turn. All right. But I love the sport.
Yeah.
And there's just something about rowing that you just connect. And I had the worst coaches, but yeah, I still kept coming back.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, I don't know.
There's something about the you can't beat me kind of attitude.
Yes, that was, I mean, my entire goal was to go to NCAAs and he tried his hardest to prevent that. But my coach at university was just like, you're not going. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still here.
Sometimes that lights the fire there, isn't it?
I think it's the can't beat me.
I feel like I've had teachers who I definitely look back and think like, fuck, were they mine? Like, I think they did actually want me to succeed, but they'd seen my character and they knew if they'd said, oh, I don't think you're going to make it, would actually stoke the fire more than if they said, yeah, you got this.
I think that is there's a fine line with that because,
Sure.
Growing up in England, I mean, I was a dunce. Like, I was put in the corner. I had black marks all around. It was miserable. But the American system is interesting because you're going to get bad teachers, bad coaches, wherever you go. Mm-hmm. And if anything, I found the best coaches to be in England. And I find that the system is changing. And that's a good thing because for kids who, if you've been told, okay, well, you're crap. Yes, I get that 100%. It's like, well, you don't want to cuddle someone. You don't want to everything's golden.
Yeah.
But then it kind of can go the adverse way.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what good schooling was until I got to America, and I didn't know how to do maths. And then I got to America and I was like, I can do long division. And I would literally spend my days just finding the longest long division doing it. And that goes back to my part of the platform is we coach. It's like, you can have a hard coach, but they have to just do it effectively. No one's saying that you can't, when you get a cold, oh, I can't get out of bed. No, then you're cut, then you're done. But if you're having a specific problem, then work it out.
Yeah. I think, we've all had our own coaches that weren't known for their decorum.
Yes.
Shall we say?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of old school stuff goes on.
So what would you say is what's different about the coaches in the UK versus the coaches in America? You said that you found the standard of coaching to be possibly more favorable in the UK. What is it about Americans?
Well, I've only just met, Ross Hunter.
Legend.
Thank you, Ross. And also with Marlo, I spent some time in the stay with Marlo, and it was just, okay, I'm gobsmacked by good coaching till this day. And this is where we were, I started, was, I was coaching someone, and then back in 2013, 2011, 2012, I don't know. And I loved coaching, but I realized I didn't have the foundation to keep going. We won that year the Anita de France Award, which is one of the biggest awards you can get in the US. And then I stopped because I was like, I can't keep going forward because I haven't had good coaches. I don't know how to progress. And then a girl I was coaching, she texted me during COVID, and she was like, "Oh, I'm coaching because of you," and I just was like, "Wow, that's weird to me."
Yeah.
I think even if you coach a lot, it's still it should be a privilege to hear that.
Yeah.
And
there's never going to be that many people.
Yeah.
Go on to coach. Yeah.
And she's a really good coach. She's a really good athlete. And I was like, okay, well, how do we get better coaches? And leaving aside what I went through, did a lot of therapy, obviously. So that I could look at things in perspective that's about the other person, about their own environment, about their own unique sort of situation. And I can leave that to my therapist in the end, And it's hard to do that, especially if you've gone through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the difference with Row. It's I have no skin in this game. I got my NCAAs. I got my conference championship. I'm set. And I left rowing, and I left it for good. I'll never get in a boat again. But I'm okay with that.
Never say never.
No, it's never a thing. But it's I think it's the best way to do it. I like you guys do it. It's about the other person.
Yeah.
And it's not about you and your thing. I don't bring myself into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool and unique about what certain platforms do.
Yeah, I agree. When I was coaching, I think there was definitely times when I sort of got a bit more caught up in the I'm going to prove how good a coach I can be, and start making it about yourself, I think that's doing things for the wrong reason. So totally agree with that.
Coaching is a hard job to go into as well. I can totally understand what you said about not having enough foundation to go on despite really wanting to do it. You never get any time off. Your life is planned out around the rowing calendar year round. And then we were, in August or something, at KGS school fixing their ergos, and I saw a yearly planet on the wall, and there was only 30 something weeks till in that schools, and I was like, fuck, is that it? That doesn't seem like a very long time.
It was all planned out, wasn't it? Everything, every weekend, every race was already in on the planner, and you're just like, whoa, it's set. That's it. That's your year.
That's it. When you can take holidays, there's always people bringing you problems. Suddenly when you're a coach, not only do you have to make the boat go fast, but also suddenly 70 people are blowing up your phone and saying, I need this, I need that, coach, but this, and there's disputes. And there's so much more to coaching, I think, that meets the eye. So the reason why I'm saying this, I think coaching is definitely not an easy job. And I think the people who do it for a career, they deserve a lot of respect for sticking it out, because it's a lot more, you have to eat a lot of crap to then get served the good times.
Yeah, I'm just realizing that I'm basically like a coach because I'm looking at my schedule. I don't get any time off. I take a lot of crap, and I'm dealing with 67 countries.
Well, there you go.
And athletes from Olympians to juniors. And, crap.
Sneaks up on you.
Oh no! I was looking at the calendar. I'm like, so
where's the space?
Henley's my holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My wife said, "Oh, you haven't got a day off this week." I was like, "We're at Henley Women's for 3 days. Let's chill. We're just gonna be walking around and talking to people. That's not hard."
You do have an obligation my platform is no one forced me to do this. So I keep saying like, this is on you.
Yeah.
You cannot blame anyone but yourself. Like I take meetings all over the world about 5-10 times a day.
Right.
And I'm not the most confident person. And I keep putting things in my calendar.
Once it's in, you have to do it. Then.
And then once it's in, it's like, I cannot cancel. Which I'm learning to say, like, I'm so sorry, I can't do it today.
I think that's like
that's the hardest thing.
But everything you're saying is like such common traits on. I think in rowers, certainly people, high performers in general, I would say the same thing. Like it's super common. Like, and I think what makes being your own worst critic or your own biggest critic is what makes you successful.
Yeah.
So it's the constant struggle, isn't it?
Yeah. And that also at a certain point when you've looked at your schedule and like you look 3 months in advance, you're like, there's not a single day off in here. I don't know. Personally, I try to like take a little bit of pride in that. The fact that like, I know I'm working and don't miss a day because
it's the perspective shift, isn't it? We've talked about it, but the big one, like kind of where I learned that was my birthday's in January and we always used to go on training camp. So I would, from like 18 to 26, I didn't have a birthday. I was on training camp. And like the initial thought of the day would be like, this kind of sucks. But then I would just be like, what the fuck else do you want to be doing? Like you're on training camp, like living your dream. Like you want to be in like some bar back home, like getting pissed with your mates. Like, like this is awesome.
Yeah.
So you just switch the way you look at it.
And there's a good quote going around the internet as well, which is what I was saying is, if you never take a day off, then you're bound to get lucky because sometimes you get lucky and you can't miss your lucky day if you never take any time off, right?
Or you just collapse.
Yeah, that's the other side of it.
Yeah, well, Mr. Beast talks about it. Obviously, he's got like the biggest YouTube platform in the world, and he's like, I just work until I'm forced to take a rest, and then I rest and decompress for like 2 days, and then I just go back. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's.
And that's not. I don't quite agree with that because I've spent a lot of time researching before we rode and looking at YouTube and our Instagram. And it's just people spouting stuff that doesn't quite hit everyone. Like gains and everything. And I'm like, well, everyone's different.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's like you're forcing people to do something that might not be quite good for them. Which is why like we row is very tailored to each individual.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing a forum or a website. I mean, everyone has a different relationship with the rowing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that, like go full out, whatever. And no, I mean, it might work for you guys.
Yeah, who knows? And like what works for us is definitely going to be different.
Or like a man telling a woman or something. And it is a woman's platform. But I mean, I obviously like feature men, I support men, but it's not, I'm not going to be telling people what to do. I'm having the community tell their story in a way that's not intrusive. Like, even with Pride Week, it's like, I just do like, disco jams, which is where I started.
I was going to say then, let's get into it. So how did it really come about?
It took about a day. I was on a launch filming with a coach and I realized how much I loved rowing again. And it had been about 8 years. I was, doing my L2. It's just like the level 2 coaching. And I took the opportunity to just basically find every coach I could to like do my hours.
Yeah.
And my hours were like, I'm still on time. And they're like, I think you're done. I'm like, no, I swear. And it was just trying to like look at the sport again to see what's changed. What is it like? Turns out it hadn't really changed.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever has.
No.
But I started seeing like little pockets of stuff that needed work. I keep saying this. I'm like the little Dutch boy that fills in the gaps. I just been into business school. I've been doing marketing a lot. I was a documentary filmmaker. Like I'm a jack of all trades kind of person. So I can get into a situation and easily like assimilate into it and learn about it and then trying to figure out how it works, and make it, not change it, but make it tweak it a bit gradually. Like, and
Just have that head that everything it looks at is like, how could this be better? How could
Yeah.
this be better?
but
Yeah.
without making it being too. Remembering the fact that like there are people involved.
Yeah.
I think empathy is the main thing. So like whenever I didn't have, I make sure I give.
Yeah. Yeah.
And empathy is a huge part of it. It's just like, just listen to someone.
Yeah.
Take time to do that. And it's a simple thing. And that's the whole key to We Row. It's just like, all right, you want to just talk? Let's talk. Like, I have no agenda. I mean, like, my business brain is going like, money, money, money. Where's the money? And then my other brain's going like, no, it's just about the human element. And it's really hard to balance the two because, you know, of course, everyone's like, how are you monetizing? I'm like, it's fine. How are you monetizing?
Yeah. They ask us the exact same thing. Yeah.
I know, right? I'm like, yeah,
So how are you making money? Like, we're not.
rowing. And that's why I have We Play. You know, I have We Play, which is for all the other sports that aren't rowing. So I do have like a big sort of, not a big, it is a brand of, you know, coaching, coxing, different sports. I'm wanting to you know, create a production company we create, which I'm starting with like other athletes who are, you know, interested in film and what have you around the world. But the baseline is to support people. And if I can't do it, then I will find someone who can.
Yeah. 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 That's good. Yeah. I think it's interesting. Like you said, like you kind of have that mindset where you can start looking at things and trying to make changes. But it's the way that you said is interesting as well. Like making sure that it's for people, and definitely have been involved in systems where you start to feel a bit like a number. And it's difficult to be in that system and feel like people have forgotten that you're a person and you're just like the number that you've done on the sheet. So that's good that you picked up on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's if the goal is, and I know this doesn't work for, you know, investors, but if the goal is someone who isn't having fun, isn't having a good time when their team wakes up and wants to keep doing their sport, then my job is done. And
is it just you?
It
Yeah, or a few others involved. So.
And my cat who tells me to go to bed.
So that's a serious amount of, if you've got athletes over 67 countries, you said.
From juniors to Olympians. The Olympians take care of themselves. They're good.
Yeah, they're a bit easier.
Yeah.
You just need them to talk until they realize that they already know.
The Olympians, it's, you know, everyone needs some form of support, and the We Row part of it, the highlights. Granted, I watch like 20 hours of rowing a weekend, but it's fine. And editing, I've kind of created monsters. Like, where's my highlight?
Yeah, because then once you start doing it, then people will be like,
but I love it. It's you know, it's not a job. And I do about 5 different races a weekend or something, you know, hop, skip, and jump across the world without, you know, a global footprint. But Olympians like should be appreciated just as much as, the juniors, but also because I've created a way that a junior rower can be looked at by an Olympian. And I got a message, I won't say who they are, but I got a message from someone who's a really good quad scholar, who's upper level, and was commenting on this other junior quad. And I thought, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, because we love our sport. And I mean, we can have the best rower in the world looking at, you know, a junior rower, and
that's why people say Henley Regatta is fun, because you can suddenly find yourself like going for your pre-paddle before your race, and then you're next to like a German. There's like a German international A warming up next to you, and there's like a Dutch World Championship double, and there's obviously like the GB crews, although they tend to keep themselves a bit more hidden during the Henley Regatta. But it's fun, and like I I really like the idea of obviously breaking the barriers in the sport so that, you know, there aren't walls. And like, I feel like rowing is a lot more accessible than, for example, a sport perhaps like football or soccer in America, right? Where like a junior athlete can still reach like the top Olympians from our sport with a fairly direct message, etc. But like, I don't know, try to get through to Cristiano Ronaldo's DMs or Leo Messi's and things like that. So I definitely like that aspect of it. How did it evolve since you started the project?
I mean, it's kind of, I hate to say this word, organic. I'm going to break out the business terms.
That's all right.
It is a beast of its own, to be honest, because it does depend on the athlete. So, it has grown exponentially. I mean, when I first started, my first post was, I think, a video I did, and then it was NCAA's. And all I did was like, all right, I will record NCAA's, tag, link, which no one does. And it's simple like that. And it's just showing like, I support you, I see you. A lot of my job is just linking and tagging. And no one had ever done that before. And like the UPenn coach, Wes, he did a post. It was like, oh, look at this, like new, this is like, I was like a day old, I think. Look at this new platform. And it sort of just took off from there because then, you know, how the rowing season goes, it's like, boom, 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 boom. Like, how many World Cups are on? Uh-oh. And I was like, you know, and I do realize like people are like, this is like an MTV music video. But it's intentional. It's like, okay, well, I'll tag the athletes, do the highlights. The music, I make sure that there's no swearing, there's nothing about women that's derogatory. Also, I try and make sure the music is also geared to their country. So I have my life as music, which is fine because, I mean, we erg.
Yeah.
We've got like a jukebox in our head.
Yeah.
And it's just about knowing how to, editing is easy for me. And it's like, okay, how is this going to help them and bring them confidence? So if I don't have commentary, there's a reason for that. Because it maybe wasn't positive or something. And it's just about like, they get to like look back and go, oh, that was a cool race. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and we all want that. And so it just grew from there. But then I also realized I'm like, oh my God, like I spoke to a lot of coxswains, and we all remember. I mean, coxswains have not the greatest experience. I remember I spent a long time talking with this one girl, and it's a lot of my job in the beginning months was meeting people and saying, "Hi, how are you?" And then it got dark, quick, you know, and knowing that it was. And then going, all right, what would you like to see change? Like, how would this improve someone else's life? And then meeting with coaches and meeting just with athletes. And then it just sort of like, it just grew and it grew and it grew. And I've never been one to want to talk to someone on the phone or chat. And then this is my job, basically, is just learning what would work. And I'm not saying I'm going to implement it. I'm not here to like lecture. It's just allowing people to see the different aspects of sport. I was invited to the Women's Sport Collective, very kindly, and that very changed my life because it's just like this group of women, like once a month I meet 5 women. I'm just like, my network has just shot up huge, and I learned so much, and you learn from listening and you learn from meeting people. But having the confidence to do that, it can be hard. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question at all. I don't know.
No, definitely. We found the same thing with this. It's funny. Yeah. I'm weirdly shy in terms of like reaching out to people, whereas Pete is like super happy to do that. So he's quite often managed to talk to people who'd be like, oh no, I don't know if they would probably say no. Like my brain has all this kind of intrusive thought stuff that happens.
And then we meet in person and there's like the tables flip.
Yeah, then Pete's all shy and then I for some reason, I don't know, it's kind of the same thing like you. Like once it's done, what I have to do it, like I don't have a problem doing it, but like the thought of like, oh my God, I've got to go meet this new person.
I mean, I like, sure, like really big anxiety.
You don't look stressed at all.
No?
No, not at all.
But
I remember
sitting on my
Yeah, we all fidget. I'm always trying to keep my hands away because I
Yeah.
fidget as well.
Yeah, I remember like having vivid memories of like being 5 or 6 episodes in and thinking like, shit, it does actually take a bit of balls to just like put yourself out there and like put yourself in a position where you can be easily criticized or reached out to by others, etc. But like where all the armchair experts can like have a go at you, etc. But like you go and do something, and then literally those feelings like quickly disappeared, and we sort of like eased into like this sort of position where we just sit in front of a microphone and speak to really cool people such as yourself, etc. And then it just feels a bit more normal, and I don't feel that self-conscious after I've done it for a while, but it literally just took like 20, 30 episodes to like stop being stressed. Like maybe my excuse is I also like have to press a few buttons and like make sure like everything's like being recorded properly, etc. But like it's a real thing, and I think it's a struggle that we all share, and I think that's why we can relate on it. But in a similar way, Tom always talks about how you can relate to other rowers who possibly are having a slightly worse start than you in the sport, because we can all remember being crap, etc. But then that just, there's two ways. Obviously, you can either have a community which isn't really a community, it's just like bashing people down, or you can have a community which is very supportive and we lift each other up, and like eventually you just see like, oh, it's not actually that difficult, and yeah, I should just own up to what it is that I'm doing, etc. So like I also definitely, from having first spoken to you like a good few months ago to now seeing your face being like in a few more videos and a few more places, etc. Like I'm happy, because like what you're doing is great, and it's definitely good to see the face linked next to the name, and you're making it a bit more personal for the people to be able to also like reach out to you, but also say thank you for like everything that you bring.
yeah,
in.
I mean, I'm not a bot. I mean, I do forget to tell people my name. Like, they're like, who is this? Who am I speaking to? Why are you featuring me? I got that a lot. Like, it was a lot of like, what is this?
That's
like,
just like suspicious.
It was so suspicious. Everyone, I'm like, I'm a real person. I wrote, and then I kind of just leave it there. And then, cause I never told anyone I wrote or, bragged about my rowing. And, I did realize that in order, cause it's a really, it's a dialectic thing. It's like, you want to serve the people that you're, of your demographic or whatever. Then you realize you have to promote yourself as well. Yeah. And it's just like, but it's not about me. And then you realize it's about me, and you kind of have to find that balance.
Yeah.
Because people are like,
yeah.
I get asked a lot, like, basically it's like, what's your resume? Like, what did you do? I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Where's the button where I can press I'm not a robot?
No, I'm like, that's my intern. I wish I had one. But it's not, we're making our platforms not for ourselves, because we're putting yourself out there. I think it's a really hard thing to do. And like, I put out my race from NCAA's, like, I hadn't seen it since I wrote that. And it's like to prove that I have legitimacy. Mm-hmm. But I realized when I was going back into rowing, I was like, I have all this stuff in my head. Like, it's so easy for me to, I know all the facts. Like, my brain isn't really good, but when it comes to like rowing facts, I'm like, I know exactly when that race was in that time.
Yeah.
We had some people say that they thought that the podcast seems like a little bit too scripted.
Oh.
And we're like, we don't write anything down.
No.
Like, I maybe have like 4 things.
Trust me, it's not.
You can see my notes.
My notes, I haven't touched them.
It's the same thing. It's just it's all in our head. Like, we've been a part of it for so long.
Yeah. I think when you meet someone though, that also like shows, like, if you put you at ease, you kind of just like let your guard down, and you just like forget that fear that you had before.
Yeah, because we just chat about rowing. What's scary about chatting about rowing?
Depends on the person.
I was going to ask, so something that we found doing this and speaking to so many rows coaches, coxes, is like when you see like the common themes or the common stuff that everyone's, like, a lot of different people have struggled with.
Yeah.
And that's like, I didn't necessarily like initially think that was something we'd focus on, but it's kind of been more important just so like other people can be like, oh, like I felt like that. I've had that struggle. I struggled with that. That took me a long time to get over the things that we've talked about, like the imposter syndrome and stuff like that. Are there things that you found that like a common occurrence is having spoken to all these athletes, like things that maybe people feel like they're alone in, but actually they're not?
I think the imposter syndrome is quite, I mean, I definitely feel like I have to keep reminding myself that I rode and I was like 9th in the country and I keep forgetting that. And I have to put it on a post-it note.
Yeah.
It's odd. Like I won pack times. Like I'm like, you rode. Like, or just basic, you actually held an oar.
Yeah.
It's like, start from there. Because you forget. I don't know why. I would forget since it was like 10 years of my life, and that's, I think it goes down to confidence again.
Mm-hmm.
If you know and told, like my family was involved with me rowing, I like that actually, because I was like, this is my thing. But if you've never been told you're good at something, or you've never, celebrated, I think it's celebrating yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really hard to say that I'm good at rowing.
Yeah. I know.
It is the most awkward thing ever.
I mean, literally in the car on the way here, I was saying, because we interviewed.
It's like an affirmation that you have to give.
Yeah, but it's like we interviewed Andy Hodge last week, and I was speaking to my parents, and I was like, yeah, he's like probably like top 5 rowers of all time. Like he's amazing. That's really got medals and stuff. And my dad was like, yeah, and you rode in the team with him, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I did. But like, you always find a way to like separate yourself from the other people and where they've been and things like that.
Martin Cross talked about that. He talked about being like a second-class Olympian, and like even in the boat that he won a gold medal in 1984, he still felt like there were the guys who actually won the medal in the boat, and I was just there kind of like along for the ride. Like, I kind of got it, but like, is it real, or is it like a replica? Like, was I really that good? And like, for a few months after that, he would say that he would act as if he hasn't won a medal, but as if he did. And then someone just told him like, stop acting like a knob. Like,
I think it doesn't sink in. Like when I do something good, it goes right through me. And like when someone says good job, I like get really awkward and I run the other way. And it goes back to just not having that foundation of being told good job. And it's not like you're being put on a pedestal. It's just like a genuine good job.
Yeah.
And that's part of the we row. It's just like good job. And there's nothing else to it. Like, you don't get a medal for showing up. You showed up. You got your medal. Now we're just saying good job.
Yeah. We've talked before about, I'm sure it's not specific to rowing, but I feel like certainly people I've mentored or coached before and been like, you're allowed to like pat yourself on the back for what you've just done. That doesn't mean that you're not going to turn up on Monday and work hard. Like we kind of have this fear, like the moment I think like, yeah, I'm good. Like I'll just drop. Yeah, I'll just, exactly right.
Well, I'm done.
Yeah. But you can do both. You can be like, that was great. Yeah. But also I've got work to do.
I think 100% it's internalizing your achievements. I'm realizing that now, like through row, my own platform is teaching me stuff.
Yes.
And sometimes I go on it when I'm like, I need a stress break. And I'm just like, I'm going to watch some of these videos.
Yeah. But if the content you're making isn't like great for you, then like who else is it? Like you're going to make the best content when you're making something that you would love to watch. I think that's exactly what we try and do with this. Like we spoke so much in the start with, like, how can we please everyone? Like, how can we do this? Who should we talk to? Who shouldn't we talk to? And then we were just kind of like, you can't please everyone. There's always going to be some negative comment. Like the best thing you can do is make the best thing you can make. And like, so I kind of keep thinking about like, if I was like 16, 17, like really getting to rowing again, and I wanted like, what content would I?
100%. That's what I think. I'm like, what would I needed?
Yeah.
When I was like, didn't have rowing.
Yeah.
And I would go into like the NL, the Dutch site, and just print out all these photos, stick them on my wall, and put my erg in front of it.
Yeah.
Because that was like the only motivation I had.
Yeah.
Which seems weird now.
I think it's also like quite funny. Like sometimes I'll find myself like in the gym, just like laying down, having done the plank or whatever. And it's like my phone is open and it's playing the podcast because I'm just like doing some video analysis or just like seeing what we can do better or what I liked or what I didn't like. Or sometimes I just like to rewatch some moments. I think if someone came out to me and was like, "What are you watching?" I think it would be like pretty hilarious to say, "Oh yeah, I'm just watching my own podcast." I think I'll just have to say, "Oh, it's like a show that I like." It's like, that guy looks like you or something.
Oh, I never watch myself, but it's something that, yeah, you're exactly what you're saying. It's like, what would we want to watch to motivate? Because I didn't have a lot of motivation to row, like at all. It was all internal. And it doesn't take a lot to get motivated. I mean, I don't know how I got to USC. I don't know how I got to D1. How I like got a Pac-10 championship. How I went to NCAAs. It was all internal.
Right,
And it's like, but I'm not like, boosting myself here. It's like, you just have to love the sport.
Yeah.
Know how people, but don't draw people away from the sport.
Yeah. Celebrate it. Yeah. And the good bits of it. And yeah, that's the best thing about when you go into coaching or mentoring or helping people is you're like, here, these are all the bits of my sport that I loved. And these are the bits that I didn't really like.
The good,
I'm
bad,
gonna leave
and the
them
ugly.
out and I'm going to like deliver what I loved about the sport to the people I can help. But I think we need to
wrap it up.
You need to get, no, we're not going to wrap it up. No, I want to get into some terms. So I know what you just said, but I know a lot of people who aren't into American rowing as much. So
Why
first
not?
of all, NCAAs.
Right.
What is it?
NCAAs is the national championship for women's rowing, which is, so in America, US, women's rowing is divided by, NCAAs, men's are IRAs, and it's just a bunch of really the best women in the country, competing together. And they've grown it since I was at the NCAAs, but it's like any other national championship. I don't know if you have national championships.
Yeah, we have. But is it all universities or is it clubs as well?
So you have to get invited.
Okay.
Your whole team has to go. So it's a 4, second 8, varsity 8. And it's changed a bit since I was in university. But it's pretty gnarly. These are the best women in the country. And to be there is a privilege. I know when I went there, I was just like, again, why am I, how? And
So you'll qualify for NCAA?
qualify,
Other events during the year? Or?
yeah, so you have to sort of, it has changed. It's based on like a points model. The CRC, I don't know how the NCAA does it anymore, to be honest. But it's based on points model. So you're always going to have, so we used to have the Pac-10, which is no longer, Pac-12 is no longer.
So you need to explain that as well then.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So what does it stand for? Both
so-
NCAA and the Pac-12.
National College Athletic Association.
Yeah.
And that's for all sports. So that's softball, ice hockey, basketball,
Right.
rowing.
It's a bit like Bucks then, I believe, in this country.
Yeah, it's like Mark.
Yeah, except that the highest level of rowing in America is at a collegiate level. So it's,
Yeah. Well, until you get to the national team.
yeah,
But-
like below national team. So it's like Bucks and Nat Champs and Henley all rolled into one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's actually a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you only do some, because right now some teams only race themselves, like
Yeah.
race against another team. So it is a bit like a 2-on-2. And the NCAA's is kind of, you need to be careful here how I say this. They've introduced a something called NIL, which is you could basically make $20 million as an athlete in college
Wow.
by just doing an ad for it.
Wow.
Yep. And the whole premise of Title IX was that in order to get funding as a men's team, like for the football team, you have to have a women's rowing team. You have to have women's sport. But since now that men's teams get outside funding, you don't need Title 9 anymore.
So, but Title 9 is equal funding for men's and women's sport at each university.
Which is kind of rendered null at this point because of NIL. And I've spoken to a few lawyers about this, and the linchpin was women's rowing. It was like, well, as long as you have women's rowing, you get funded for men's football, what have you. Now that they don't have that caveat anymore. Women's rowing is in a very precarious state. Okay. Which is why the whole of the conference I was part of was Pac-10, Pac-12 on the West Coast, has been shifted to the Midwest, which has the biggest media rights for men's football. Like Michigan, Ohio. So this whole conference has been shifted to another conference. And the Pac-10 conference was around since 1915.
Oh, wow.
And it's solved.
So everyone has to go a lot further to race.
They have to travel a lot. Also, a lot of schools have had their clubs sort of dissolve. It's about money, not about the sport. And I find that interesting because the concept of having to plead for your sport is really coming. Like, I've always had to tell people like, oh, I need to row, but they're like, well, that's a little bit of a privilege. I'm like, it's what I'm trying. Some men. No offense. But, it's like, well, why aren't people being questioned about doing esport or other sports that you don't make money off of? Like lacrosse, you don't make a lot of money off of that. Mm-hmm. And reminding yourself about, well, our whole world is really based off of sport. And allowing someone to do what they are good at is what keeps sort of the world going around. I mean, take out the sports, then the Olympics is kind of going to be boring.
Yeah, it's kind of, I remember kind of, I guess, a sense of disappointment a little bit when you kind of learn that money is a huge factor in success. And you're like, I wanted it to just be the best people that win. And it sort of is. Yeah, it's always the best people with a lot of money. Like, if you look at, like, I think it was aside from Canada when they held the Olympics, just about every other Olympics in the modern era,
London was amazing.
The home side basically has its best performance. And you think, oh, it's because it was at home and it was the crowds. And it's because they invested a lot more money in the 8 to 12 years pre.
Yeah. Although no one thought London was going to go well. I mean, even we were going like, this is going to be. I did it like the minute like the opening ceremonies were like.
Yeah, it doesn't take away from the achievements.
That was us.
Yeah, nailed it.
I know, right? We were just like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, but the money thing definitely sucks.
But you have to have money though, because it's like, all right, so you spend like what, $100,000 on like ping pong or table tennis or badminton, or not to put down those. I got in trouble I think yesterday when I talked about netball.
No trouble here.
Do not. But I mean, everyone, like, unless you're basketball or football or American football, you're not making money.
Yeah.
But they find it interesting enough somewhere, along the way. And it's just about allocating funds in a way that's like, just don't be belligerent about this. Like, if you're going to be giving this esport kid $1 million to play a video game, there is funds available. Like pickleball is $1 billion sport now. And you didn't know that?
I don't know what a pickleball is. I'm just imagining someone taking McDonald's pickles, sticking them onto a ball and just playing table tennis with it.
It's like a bigger version of table tennis with a shorter tennis court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a small court with a bat which doesn't fire it as far. So it's kind of like a small version of tennis.
No pickles.
No pickles.
Oh, damn
You
it.
could probably eat them while you play.
But yeah, it's an interesting point you make though, because it's something Pete's been talking about a lot recently, really, and it's a lot to do with about the way that you present rowing is in an exciting way that not necessarily been presented. A lot of people talk about how rowing's not a spectator sport. There'll never be any money in it because it's not a spectator sport. And I think you were one, or someone was like, how is the Tour de France? Like, enormous. Like they just row on an open road. People stand on the side of the road for 6 hours to see 100 people just go, and then, but somehow,
stick their phone out.
yeah, they've turned it
And then
into
crash.
with the backstory and the facts and the way the race is put in and the way they change the race, have different markers, points to gain by certain things. Like all these things will make it. So I think like your point of kind of like there is a way clearly to make sports.
It's the same thing with Formula One. Like, what the hell are you going to see if
60 laps.
yeah, you're going to see 60 laps, but the cars just go literally,
Yeah.
and then
how
you
you
just
feel
wait another 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they're going to go past. Like, I think I caught a glimpse. Was that the car that I'm following? Like, it's all about like how you present it. And I think there's so much history, so much tradition, so much information and knowledge and just wealth of experience in rowing. I just think that in terms of broadcasting, obviously Henley Regatta's doing a great job at it now, but we've just been like a little bit lazier as rowing. Like, yeah, okay, that crew goes in front, and then like the viewers, someone who just tunes in to watch rowing, they don't understand how difficult it is to make a push. They don't understand what goes into, bringing about a performance. They don't understand what actually is happening to your body once you cross that finish line, how much pain you're in, like how much you're hurting and everything. And like, I don't know, like how many strokes do you have to take in training for a single stroke in your race, in your Olympic final or in your World Championship final or in your whatever that is for you at your level, like
It comes down to commentary.
yeah, it's
100%. Like, I remember talking to I work with a lot of commentators, and it's the commentary will make or break that race.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out the streaming part of it. I mean, if I had $100,000, I'd try and make a streaming platform as well. Because it goes all down to streaming. And I have to say, like, some of the best streaming has been done in the 70s.
Yeah.
And like I look at footage all the way back from like the 20s. And they had it and they nailed it in the 70s. Like they're overcomplicating things, I think, a little bit with things. Like they're not making it personal. It's like up above in the air. And you don't really get to see like the nitty gritty. And the commentary though, it's like, be positive. Yeah. Don't criticize. Try not to. So I don't mean no. Try not to criticize. Know the athletes. Do your research beforehand, and just show your joy. And there are commentators that are just like Camilla, and it just exudes passion and like love for the sport, and like people will just tune in to hear, to listen to her speak.
yeah.
And it's the same thing with like eventing. Like I did eventing. Eventing is a really hard sport to follow. I mean, again, it's better to watch it than to see it in live.
Yeah.
And the same thing with tennis or anything. It's all done to commentary.
Yeah. And also a little bit of presentation in terms of data. Like when you watch football or soccer in America.
Oh yeah, I get it. I can do both.
That was for our American listeners.
Okay. It's soccer.
Yeah. it's for the listeners. Yeah. But, yeah. You see possession. You see how many shots on target. You see how many passes completed. You see how many fouls, etc. Like, obviously, there's not going to be like a statistics like craps caught in a row during the race.
No, but it's about like, okay, so it's just speaking about, okay, this athlete did this. And, oh my God, look at the energy that's being generated here. You want to build the momentum. I'm sorry, anyone who says like rowing isn't interesting and like exciting, I'm like, go watch like a dead on like, last 500. Like it's more exciting than watching a 5-hour tennis match. And I play tennis and I'm like, it is exciting, but how is a sport 7 minutes, lessons, all right, 550 or whatever, not exciting?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
So what
we're done in a minute.
Yeah. So what would you say was the thing that the broadcasters nailed in the 70s that you think we're sort of like shifted away from now? What was it that made you like pick them apart from the group of older decades and be like, that's the shit?
It was when they first started doing it. So I post a lot of the old sort of like historical content. And it was the women, and Martin Cross I think was commenting on it, but it was the way the camera was, and same thing with San Diego Crew Classic. When I was rowing in it, and they're just right up there, they're able to make the camera feel like you're actually in the race. Like, you want to generate that momentum, that feeling. Like, I mean, there's nothing like it when you're at the start and you get a start and you're just like, oh, yes. And you're just hearing the coxswains. And sometimes it's better not to speak. Just have that, like, 100 meters just to hear the energy. And then you sort of go into it. And then you go, oh, this is really cool. XYZ is doing this, and this is XYZ doing that. But making sure that the camera work, the production work is flowing, and not just being lazy as putting a drone up, because then you don't really get to be in the mix. And rather than saying, well, she did that before, wasn't that great? Like, that was in the past. And have excitement in your, I mean, I'm the last one to commentate. Have excitement though in your voice and just be like, oh, this is so cool. Like, saying that can really change the narrative, because you're like someone who you're sat there as a commentator going, this is amazing. This is so cool. That's it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Have you ever?
That resonates with people being like, oh, yeah, it is really cool. Huh? Yeah. But keeping really close on, like, on the rowing. I think the drones are, you have drones, they're beautiful shots, but you really need to keep doing the zooms in, showing the pain, showing the dedication, showing the grit, because that's what rowing's all about. It's like, you can't see anything from above. I mean, it's just, and the finishes are just like, that's it. I mean, I don't know.
I know, definitely. I definitely agree with you.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes I'll watch like a sport and the commentary is just like so off-putting. I'd rather watch it on mute and like make up my own commentary in my head. So you're absolutely right there. It's down to the commentators to really like bring the passion and the energy. And
I'm not digging against any commentator.
No, I know. And I get that too. We were just talking with Robert Trahan Jones. He's an Olympic commentator a couple of weeks ago. And then he says that you really need to like make the extra effort for your listeners and for the viewers, etc. And like I said, if they can sense that you're not even up for it, why should they be? Like, this guy doesn't even care. Why should I be paying attention? So, no, your point on there is brilliant. What would you say makes the San Diego Crew Classic outside of the camera angles so interesting to watch? And how does it work, the format of the competition? Because I've heard the name, but I've no idea who races or what's the format. Is it 2K? Is it 5K?
2K.
Is it side by side?
So it's 6 crews. The Crew Classic is a beast of its own. They love rowing. They were the first and foremost to have a Jumbotron, like a big screen. They gave us CDs of our races.
Awesome.
They streamed them. I mean, this is like 2007.
Whoa.
I know, right? And you can find all of them on YouTube.
We're gonna have to now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and the commentary was just like exciting. Plus it's Huntington Beach. Yeah, San Diego, but it was the fact that we got to watch our races, and that's back to the promise of celebrating yourself.
Yeah.
Hence the rerow of like, you don't have to find the races. That seems a bit grandiose and whatnot. But if I do it for you, then and the link, and then you can watch it again, and no one will know. You're replaying it.
That's a good point, though. Like, just making it like accessible, but
you felt special, and it was just as simple as that. It's it's on a beach. I rode in Southern California. There's beaches everywhere. But it was the fact that they took the time and the energy they gave us like winning shirts and what have you. And I mean, I called them up the other day or this year, and I was like, oh, do you happen to have like a poster from when I was racing? They're like, no, but we'll send you a big JPEG and like whatever. And like they had that on tap, and it was, there are only certain races that allow for that because they fundraise a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting harder and harder to get access to the sport that we love. I get there are costs. There's a budget, but there are ways around that. And the crew classic, I don't think will ever make someone jump through hoops to get to see, because otherwise we don't have a sport. It's the future, and the sport needs to see what the sport is. And it's I don't know. You have to go there. I mean, it's super cool. You have to go to San Diego. But I mean, but from the get go, they were very accommodating. They just make you feel like you're supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I won it, and I was just like, it's the same as if I lost it. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does. But to show up, I remember showing up as a freshman. And it was just like this festival of rowing.
Awesome.
So
I could do with a bit more of that. So I was interested. So NCAA's will be like your last race of the year, or not? Is that kind of like the final event?
Yes. I mean, if you're a college athlete and then you go to your World Cups.
Yeah. So,
if you're from Poland.
Yeah.
So that's when's NCAA's is kind of May.
End of May.
So San Diego Classic normally
it is in March, April.
And what are the other big races like?
It depends on the school. So you'd have like your
match,
your invitationals.
Yeah.
It's just like side by sides.
Yeah. Harvard, Yale, and that.
We would go to like Boston for some reason. Race Harvard, BU, and then fly back. And this is now the norm, is to sort of go into fly across the country, to race different schools. It's a lot harder because the United States is really quite a large country.
Yeah.
And you only have like 2 or 3 teams, or 3 or 4. It's something like you have at Mets, where, I mean, you guys have been racing each other. You know each other.
Yeah, so like at Dorney Lake, there's Wallingford Regatta, Met Regatta, and Marlow Regatta. Yeah. So 3 all now held over like.
And then
if you're under 18, you also have the junior sculling, the scullery, which is with a turn, and then that's course, which is moved to Nottingham.
You guys have sculling here.
Yeah. You don't really do it at all.
What? Lightweights have sculling.
Okay.
Open weights don't.
Yeah.
So the lightweight situation, so there's a lightweight and there's open weight. Lightweights are in IRAs. Open weights are in NCAAs, which I think will be changing. So IRAs also does the men.
Yeah.
And the lightweights race the same 6 teams, 7 teams, all year long. And they do sculling, they do also sweep. And there's not so much, there's no sculling in open weights.
That seems like a great way to miss out on a lot of medals at World Championships.
I think, well, it's interesting because so I came from a team where everyone was basically a sculler, and they came in and they started sweeping. And it depends on how you recruit. Because, I mean, our team was made up of these, world champions or whatever, and like, you get on an erg, you're like, I'll see you in a minute, literally. I mean, like, should I start first or?
Recruiting's big in America now.
Yeah, and my school was really criticized for just having all of your Eastern Europeans and Russians and what have you, and now everyone has them.
Yeah.
And it brings a mix to it.
Yeah.
I think we were oversaturated with stuff because there was like 2.5 Americans and I was the half. But it was funny because, I mean, it really lends to the what rowing is about. It's a global sport. And I didn't quite appreciate how our coach sort of went about it because he was pitting us against each other. Like, they were like, oh, you're a European. And even other schools were like, oh, you got all these Europeans, like Euros. And I'm like, so, erg, row. Same all over the world. It's gotten a lot better. And I like that about the sport is that people are integrating. People have different talents. So you could be a sculler. Okay, we'll figure out how to put you in a sweep.
All scullers can sweep. it's the other way around.
Well, they
more difficult.
say they don't.
Yeah.
But because sculling, I was speaking with someone, I think it was Holly, she's from the GB development. You're a very like insular world. You're on your own, and so you develop that mindset of, all right, well, I'm just gonna do everything by myself, and it's hard to integrate yourself into a team. That was the hardest thing, where we were like, work together, and they're like, but it's just me. And it takes us, but that's back to coaching. If you know that this person's been in a skull their whole life, then, do a pair first, maybe, not an 8.
Yeah, you definitely see a lot of technique in single scullers, certainly at the high end. It's
But it also mental.
they just can't row with anyone else. Like,
Yeah, no,
that's amazing, and they're going really fast.
Yeah.
That's not how other people do it.
Yeah, and also you have that mind, but you're already like, oh, they're single scullers, they won't work well.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's like a preconceived.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's interesting. I love it. Like, it's like, okay, well, you've done so well by yourself.
Yeah.
Let's figure out maybe how could you do better with, or differently. I love the pair. I love the 4. I mean, I loved everything about it, to be honest.
What's your favorite boat then?
Not Coxed Bear.
All right. Well, I did really well in Sibley's in the TV in the bow. I wasn't gonna be going anywhere else because, like, if you look at a picture of me, I'm like coxswain. There's a coxswain, and there's me, and there's like the rest of the team.
Yeah.
I love the pair because the pair, like, you just gel and you jam. There's just something really unique about the pair because the she doesn't go well. It doesn't go well.
Yeah.
The quad was. To be fair, my coach went, "You're going in the quad." Never been in a quad at nationals. And we went from lane 1 to lane 3 to lane 4 to lane 5 to lane 6. We did a 6K.
Yeah.
We should have been a 2K. And he was like, "Well, got it."
You're never going to win when you're rowing twice as far.
Yeah.
The umpires were like, "We'll see you back in the dock." But he was like, "You look bored. You've got 6 races and we'll just throw you in something else." And I like that about, like, it was like, all right, but you're in an environment where you're going, what's that going to end? I mean, my life. It's, I don't know. What's your favorite boat? I love a 4.
So it's probably not, I would say it's definitely not a 4.
Oh.
Not like
Straight 4 or cocked 4?
either. It's 8 or pair, and like 8 because of how I've done in it, like what I've won in it. But like a good pair is like so elusive. Like out there, like Henley, like a misty morning, super quiet, dead flat water, and it's going well, and it's just so quiet. It's like
You're like one with nature and one with your boat.
yeah, like whereas the 8 is like the opposite, isn't it? It's loud and fast, and you can hear the water flowing down the hull, and like it's exciting, and mad. But
Yeah. But when you're doing like a long piece and it just clicks. That's, I think, when you ask me about what I love about rowing, it's like when
yeah.
it's just it's like there's nothing else.
I did Commonwealth Regatta in 2014 with Wales, and Morgan was coxing it. I think we told this story, didn't we? And then we bumped into the person who heard about the boat that we were in. But yeah, it's a total scratch. So you take 4 men and 4 women, you race in like 4s and pairs and doubles, and then at the end of the competition, everyone goes together for a mixed 8.
Wow.
Which is like really good fun, yeah.
That sounds fun.
And we got given this piece of crap 8. Like, it was in Scotland. So Scotland had this like brand new Philippi, and they'd given everyone else like this crappy boat. And I didn't really have any. I knew we had a good lineup. Like, there was some quality rowers in there. Becca Chin, Josh Bug, anyway. And, we pushed off the landing stage, and Morgan was like, right, let's go, like backstops, full rowing. I was like, what the f-? She's like, ready, go.
As Morgan does.
Like, just hit the first stroke, like,
Yeah.
took it, came through, and I just looked at Morgan, and Morgan looked at me, and we were like, oh, it's on. Like,
Really?
yeah, it
Yeah.
just clicked. It was awesome.
I know that clicking of like, I've been every seat, I think. But when I was stroking in high school, like, it's really cool just to, like, look at your coxswain and just be like, game on.
When you know,
Like, and you're
you
like,
don't have to
if
say it.
everyone needs to get on board because this is happening.
Yeah.
Get ready for it.
Yeah.
But I love doing bow. I was just like,
That's fun. Yeah.
yeah. 3 seats is a bit of a.
Is it because of the reputation that precedes it, or?
No, I was 4. I don't know why I was 4. One race. When we won San Diego. 7 I liked. For some reason. Stroke.
7 I don't like.
7's like.
7 you can't follow the blade, right?
7 is a backup system.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's just
like,
too much pressure.
It is a lot of. I feel like it's like.
I was a good 7 because I wasn't like someone who would go like a stroke would yell at the boat. Like I wouldn't yell. Like I was like,
Because stroke, you get to like stroke. There's pressure, but actually you're in charge. So you're like, we're doing my
7 does the work.
Yeah.
Because everyone's 7's like, come on, and Bow's like, no.
Yeah, bow pairs just.
But Bow sets the boat. I mean, we're just like, we're all right. Well, you know what? Don't worry about it. We will fix it.
We had that year, 2008, did the Thames Cup. We filmed from the bank quite a lot.
Yeah.
Don't normally go on a launch because there's so many crews. You don't want to like
That's
mess
so
it
hard
up.
to film from the bank.
But occasionally we would get the launch out, and so everything's been filmed sideways for so long, and then we're sat down maybe here on one of the other rooms. We're watching the boat go up and down, and like as you're watching it, every time as the boat comes back on the recovery, you can see the bowman just puts his whole body weight out, and they're like, "Oh shit, Davey's like actually like." Because we're like, it feels great, like the balance is on, but
we're
it's
just doing
bowman
kegels. We're just
yeah.
maneuvering. I mean, I was just like, oh my god, they're tipping left for us. Let's go this way. But also, I'm horrible at like not keeping straight in my head. Like,
Yeah.
and my coxswain be like, I hear your eyeballs going. Don't do it. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
You want to look around.
Every video and every photo of me is like, wanting to put my just look. And I think actually I think we're almost done, but it does equate to the platforms. It's like keep your eyes straight forward.
Level.
Where I'm like, I feel myself.
That's what I like sculling. Like, in terms of my particular favorite boat type, it has to be a sculling boat. So for me, it's the double. Because in the sweet boat, I'm not fully responsible for the balance or how well I can't fix it. You know, if something goes wrong, there's more than one person that needs to be added to the equation in order to fix it versus in a double. It's what you're talking about with the pair, but there's like extra power, extra speed, extra balance. For me, that's my favorite boat category.
Extra power than a pair.
Yeah. You go faster. Pair can't go sub 6.
It doesn't mean there's extra power.
Well, you got 2 oars, so yes, there is extra power. There will be more watts being exerted by each athlete than there is in a pair. I'm sure, Kieran Clark, if you're watching, can you please fact check me on that?
So the reason why you like a double is because it's 4 oars.
It's because sculling, to me, is a bit of a different animal.
Scullers are purists.
Classic sculler.
Scullers are purists. I mean, like, you look at a quad, I mean, there's nothing more magical than watching a quad.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I mean, it's just like...
The same thing with sculling is like, with a
don't
double.
really get me.
It's like
it's
the
the same-
poetry, you know? Like, everything's in symmetry. And
No, it's just
perfect
because
sync.
you
It's a
could
different
do it.
type of- it's a different type of run,
You're
though.
you're describing the exact same thing that I
like
describe a
ballet.
pair. It's just because you sculled and you learned how to make a double move. I learned how to make a pair move. I never really learned how to make a
Yeah,
double
but
move.
pairs are a bit choppy, to be fair. But quad, that is just magical. I could watch the Ukrainian quad all day long. I do.
I could and I do.
I do. But I mean, there is something just so graceful and just like, so when I do music, it's easy because it's like tempo. I'm like, oh, I know what boat works with what music.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, you start putting it together before you.
But the
even-
quad is just like, oh my god.
Okay, I see your point. So basically, we're all fans of music.
Pairs
You
are
like
not.
playing the guitar because you've learned to, you know how to play it. But I like playing the piano because I can just make the keys move or whatever. But we're talking about the same thing.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, a pair is not sexy.
What?
No.
What's not sexy about a pair?
Okay,
Sculling.
controversial.
Sculling is sexy because it's just like the rhythm is just boom, boom. And Yeah, it's different.
So you agree with me now?
Oh, I'm kind of I'm trying to take care. No, but it's true because every stroke, sweep has a different rhythm than sculling.
Yeah.
Sculling is just like, it's so graceful, delicate.
It is more
Ballet.
Yes. Yeah.
interesting.
And sweep is just go for it.
Yeah.
It's a bit send it, rag it.
Send it. Doesn't matter how, but it's just a movement. I was working with the Leeds junior team, and these are kids who are like 15, 16. And I am in awe every time I see a junior just pick up the quad. It's the hardest boat. And it was fluid, and it was so amazing. And again, it's back to being like just in awe of the sport in general.
Yeah.
And if you're gobsmacked and you're just watching it, then yeah.
Joe, we're sat in that schools watching junior boys 8s do like sub 540 times. You're like, what is going on here? This is
But it's not even about the timing. It's just about like their energy and just like their legitimate talent.
Yeah, like I feel like I remember it used to be talked about a lot when I was just coming out of junior, like this for like 07, 08. There was like a way that boys rowed and there was a way that men rowed, and it was like there was like schoolboy rowing and there was like adult rowing. And now like you look at schoolboys and like, no, that is rowing. Like there's no less level of it. Just like it's ridiculous.
I coached junior boys, and I would just say it's interesting.
Because do you go with the standard sort of boys don't listen and they keep trying to break the oar in half?
Boys just want to eject themselves.
Eject themselves. Yes.
They watch the safety video in America that they have, which is basically someone takes like,
Eject a crab,
and then they're like, that is so cool. And I went, God damn it. And I was just like, and all the time, they were like, doing this. Like, I'm like, okay. And the girls are like, I want to get to college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the boys are just like, oh, I got a bigger one than you did. And I'm like, you need a tetanus shot. You need a tetanus shot. You need a tetanus shot. And you're all going in tubbies. Have fun. Yeah, because it was just that I saw that look when they saw that ejector thing. I went,
yeah.
So, and these are kids who haven't hit puberty yet.
Just trying to pull.
But I mean, it was really cool. I mean, if you've been able to manage a bunch of little like 8th graders going into high school for a summer, while I had 4 wisdom teeth, and they called me Coach Chipmunk.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Then you're set for life. You can coach anything.
Oh, you're never going to go into any business environment and find it more difficult to manage than like 15-year-old boys. Like that
15.
That is
so fun. But I mean, if you get their respect though, it's just, you meet them on their level. And you're like, all right, so you just want to be in the Charles River the whole day long, get a shot and fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's again, like the learning curve of coaching. I mean, I've coached equine therapy. I've coached, a lot of things, and it's being patient, learning how to be patient with yourself first. And then you can just figure out, all right, what does this person need?
Yeah.
And then it will just flow.
There's teaching someone how to row, and there's learning how to manage people on an individual basis.
And having a good support system with yourself, like another coach.
Yeah.
Because that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. It's brutal. Like 1 + 1 makes 7, isn't it? Like when you're on your own, you're having to double guess, is this the right decision? Have I made the right thing? Whereas if you just have that one person, that's right, isn't it? It's 288. Yeah, I thought so. Like,
but having a good support system, either you're coaching, you're rowing, whether you're doing a platform, like I've met some really great mates just doing platforms. I mean, I feel like we're all doing platforms at the same time. And it makes all the difference in the world as long as you're not going at it alone.
Sure.
Because then you can excel, you can learn, and then you just gain the confidence. Because if you're by yourself, women are usually by themselves doing stuff.
Yeah, there's no freaking way I'm doing this podcast by myself.
There's no way I'm doing
no
this
way.
podcast without Tom. Yeah.
But it's about just finding a community, and I mean, I think we're building one together. Yeah, and like don't be a tit about it. Like, you know, don't just help someone else out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's simple as that. It's never going to be a dearth of athletes.
Yeah.
Sport's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we've literally hit the jackpot, because it's like, okay, well, this can keep going and going and going and going and going, but, you know, why compete? Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's got their different reasons. That's part of it, isn't it?
No, it's true, man. I went to business school and I was like, all right, I need to compete. You know, we're rowers. We always want to compete.
Yeah.
And how amazing is it that we get to not compete and just work together? Which is what also, that's rowing. In a sense.
Yeah, you can like collaborate,
fight
and
it.
you can co-op instead of just like trying to like bash each other down. Although on this point of like not everything has to be competitive. I used to get told that all the time when I was training here at Leander. I would go and like eat some food after the session and be like, how many sausages are you ordering? How many like crewmates or whatever? And be like, this is not everything's a competition. Meanwhile, I'm like halfway like shoving like, my dinner out face, like, oh, not everything's a competition. Like, you're losing. That's what you're saying.
Have you ever raced someone walking down the sidewalk and they don't know
Oh
you're
my
racing?
God. I raced, I'm trying to bring myself back. So like I'm trying to work on, my body's like, we're done with, like, I did half marathons like daily when I was in business school. Stupid. Again, not knowing how to.
Went all or nothing.
I'm like A to Z.
Yeah.
And it's learning how to walk, and I speed walk / jog.
Yeah.
But it's learning to be okay with not winning.
Mm-hmm.
Or to be fearful of being truthful.
Yeah.
Or just, no, it's like fear. It's like there's a fear-based part of this, because it's like we gotta keep doing really well. And who's out to get us? Who's behind us? Who's in front? And it goes back to staying in our lane. And I think between the two of us, keep focusing on our race plan. I know that sounds really silly, but it's about the race plan. Cause like, think about Morgan. I always bring up Morgan's race. It's my favorite race, in 2022, when they were behind with Australia.
Yeah.
And I literally bring this up in every conversation I can. And it's just like, they're down. And when I interviewed her, I think she was my first person I interviewed. And she's like, we just knew what we were going to do. And I listened to our interview constantly, because it was just like, we knew what we wanted to do. We put our heads down and we did it.
Execute.
So yeah, there's a plug for Morgan.
There's always a plug for
There's always a
Morgan,
plug for Morgan.
yeah, she's like one of our
That's your
favorite
last
guests
one.
as well. She was our second guest that we've interviewed as well. So there's a little bit of similarity here, but no, she's great. She's got so many stories, great opinions, really strong
intelligence
experience.
that you can't get anywhere else. It's just staying in lane, and it's hard to like not keep
Yeah.
looking. Like, and I get really upset, because I'm just like, oh, they done that, and it's just like, it puts you in a spiral. So if you're starting a platform, I don't know, what advice do you have for people who started? Now that we're like, aged and
Yeah.
What we said earlier, which was like, don't worry about what anyone else thinks. Like, focus on making the best content you can that you would like. I think that's the thing. And it's not really my advice, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it. It's like, stop focusing on what it could be and just think about making it the best. Like, I want this podcast to make me this amount of money or be this successful. Like, you have no control over that. Like, all you have control of is the content you're creating. So create the best content you can. And if people love it, then they'll love it. And if they don't, they won't. But if you had fun doing it, so what? Like, we talked about this with the podcast. Like, the first few guests we had were all people I rode a long time with, or I knew, or, yeah, like wouldn't be difficult for us to talk to. Like I knew I wouldn't struggle to talk to. But the first time we had like big guests on who'd won Olympic medals and maybe I hadn't rowed with previous in the career, I was just like, we would finish that thing and I'd say to Pete, like, I don't give a shit if like no one watches it. I just had like the best 3 hours of my life. Like I just got to ask this legend like a bunch of different questions. So like do something that you love doing and kind of the outcome will be irrelevant.
I would say my bit of advice for people wanting to start a platform is start earlier than you think when you're ready. I would say you don't get ready before you start, in a way, almost. Like you can't produce you can't problem solve producing good content before you've actually released your first like 5 or 10 videos or whatever it is. Like you need to really just get going and start producing, start recording. Put crap things out there and eventually they'll get better. So I would say start earlier than you think when you're ready.
I know what you mean. We were talking about learning languages before we started and it always frustrates me when someone's like, oh, like when I can like speak it well, then I'll speak it. And you're like, no, you learn how to do it by doing it. Yeah, I agree.
Advice for starting a podcast, start a bloody podcast. just go. Yeah, just do it. Just get us a mic and start chatting some shit in front of the camera.
It took us a while.
Yeah.
It took you a while to convince me to do it.
Well, it also took a while to, work out the format, the equipment, how we're going to do it, Are we going to make people do like a mandatory 500 meter ergo test after every episode just to have like a Top Gear sort of like league table?
Oh, yeah. So like, I remember that chat. The Top Gear league table, yeah.
Have you ever seen Top Gear? When they get guests on and they all have to do like a lap around the circuit and then they like rank.
Do we get to do that? Because I'm a gearhead.
Get down.
I've done that in like a McLaren.
That'd be quite fun, but maybe.
So we get to go do the lap.
Unfortunately not. That'd be good.
I am not doing that.
Get some more money. No, there is no.
No, not this.
We thought that might put people up.
Alright, so here I'm turning the tables. What brought you guys together?
This club.
Rowing.
Liam.
Besides Alexandra and being men and rowing. Why this podcast?
Oh, you mean like
that's a different question. Like what? Do you mean the podcast or do you mean literally why we came together?
Oh, why we like friends?
No, the podcast. I don't care why you're friends.
The podcast. Yeah, so we were.
I mean, you're clearly friends.
We're in the middle of lockdown madness, basically just like bored out of our heads, not knowing what to talk about. So we started talking about rowing, and then we were basically in the middle of like sending each other like really long WhatsApp voice notes, just talking about the British system, yoga and coaching, World Championship, Olympics, and like moving the boat fast and this and that. And then I think it was you that had said like, this would make a pretty fun podcast. We should start it. And then about a day later, we had the name. We had the first few guests written down, which did not turn out to be in that order whatsoever. But we've had the idea for the podcast. We should call it this. We should do it, etc. And then sort of like for the next 2.5 years, it's like maybe like lingered over our heads a bit. It's like, yeah, we should do the podcast. We should do the podcast. We should do the podcast. And then eventually we're like, right, let's do the fucking podcast. And then we've ordered some equipment. It arrived. We booked some guests in and we just started doing it. That's it. That's what brought us together. It was just, I guess, the enjoyment of exchanging intellectual arguments about rowing. That's it. Just talking about rowing.
All right. I want you guys to speak in Czech and Polish and have your own conversation.
Between Czech and Polish, as if we don't. We do that.
Let's go.
We do that. I think maybe we should do that after some quick fire rounds. What do you think?
Firearms?
Quick.
No, it's not America. It's not America.
Quick firearms.
No, we got to finish off. We got to ask some questions that we ask everyone. Yeah. Let's do that, and then we should. And then you can keep it.
Yeah, then we should do that. Okay. So quick fire rounds. Out of all the rowing venues that you've trained at, raced at, or visited, what are some of your favorites?
Lake Natoma.
Where's that?
It's in Sacramento, Folsom.
Cool. Why did you like it?
When I was in high school, it looked like Luzon. So it looked like Switzerland to me. Like I had it on my background and my laptop. And then it's just beautiful. I don't know. You like the river, the lakes that you like, and
yeah. Cool. If you were to repeat one race or one event again when you're 60 or 70, what would it be and why?
When I'm 70.
Yeah. If you were to jump back.
If you could go back in time and redo it, whether you redo it because you didn't like the result or just to live out the result again, which one would be the one you go back and do?
Finals of NCAAs.
The year you won.
Well, we got 9th, but Ohio State beat us by like a smidge. But I don't regret any race I rode.
That's good.
Cool.
What happened.
Yeah.
You can't take it back. And
Yeah, I don't know. I want to relive those 2 days.
yeah, none of them. No, thank
No,
you.
good. I am completely content.
Yeah.
I ask if you could travel back in time to the age you were when you first fell in love with rowing, what advice would you give that person?
Keep going. Do what you do. You love it. Forget everyone else and just be kinder to yourself.
Yeah,
It's a good piece of advice.
great advice. Keep it simple.
I think a lot of people say be kinder to yourself, but actually be kinder to yourself because
Harder than
yeah.
I mentor some people and we talk a lot about positive self-talk, and I feel like a bit of a fraud at times because I'm like, I am awful at it. Yeah. I'm so bad at it. Yeah. I know I should do it. I know it's great. I'll advocate it. I'll tell other people, but I'll still.
Yeah. I mean, I went through a lot as a kid. I used rowing. I saved my life. Literally, I would not be here without it. Kept me alive. And
that's awesome.
a lot went into it, and I would never ever presume to tell my younger self what to do. Like, yeah, I get that question a lot. It's a hard one to.
Yeah, we did it. We did an episode just us, and Pete asked me that question, and I had said that my issue with it always is that I got to where I got because I didn't know it was possible.
Yeah.
So any piece of advice that might have told me anything different could well have stopped me from getting there.
I think you've never been told advice on it. If you no one ever expected me to go anywhere, ever, and I never expected myself to see 2020. Every day's a gift, essentially. But it was just I would never. That's why I think it goes back to we row. It's I never would presume to tell anyone.
Yeah.
What to do. Just celebrate yourself, but even that, in the sense, it's celebrate yourself is what is that you're doing? Oh yeah. Do your thing.
Yeah.
And I'll stay every way. Take it or leave it. And then that's usually how I do we row, because I'm I'm not in here for a pissing contest.
Yeah.
It's live. Or egos.
Yeah.
I'm if you don't want to be part of it, fine, but you're about to be, and I feel like in a few months you're gonna go, okay, what's everyone else doing?
Yeah.
And I think taking that approach, especially with if someone doesn't want to be a guest, move on. Mm-hmm. There's so many other people. Yeah. And I think when people say no, then that's an indication of okay, well, maybe it's not the right fit.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned the most.
Yeah.
I think, figure it out what it means in your own terms, and then try to adjust that piece of advice to your own life in a way that it supports and helps you in what it is that you're doing. It's essentially that the message, which is a really beautiful message. And Alexandra, thank you so much. Or Ali, I promise I would call you.
No worries, anything.
Alexandra, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really fascinating to finally meet the person behind the brand. And then I hope that we get to see more of you obviously on social media, and definitely keep going, because the advice that you would give yourself with rowing, keep going with the brand is good. It's definitely shining a lot of spotlight, and it's fun to watch and see, okay, what happened today in the rowing world, and what kind of races. Okay, cool. I enjoy looking at your content. So it's been fun to chat to you in person. I hope maybe at some point we get to do it again in the future. Maybe over in America.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's such a pleasure to be invited, and what you guys are doing is very unique as well. The way you do it. And you have a unique gifts and character between you, So yeah, now I'm just getting awkward.
That's good. Appreciate it. I think the listeners have sat through enough of me, my awkwardness that it doesn't matter.
They're like, oh,
Yeah.
forget it. But yeah, no, I've loved every minute listening to you guys, and it is a huge boost of confidence to be able to, have. This is my first time being interviewed. I like being on the other side of it.
Yeah.
But you guys have made it so enjoyable. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome to hear. If people want to get some advice of you or get in touch with you, what would be the best way to do that?
We row, we coach, we cox, we say. Just DM. I'm always around. Happy to. If I can't answer the question, I'll find someone who can.
Brilliant. I think that concludes everything for this episode. So on that note, easy there.
Cue the music.